Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to daily vlog number 16. I cannot believe we're on day 16 of the Barcelona daily vlogs. It's absolutely flown by. I really hope you've been enjoying the Barcelona vlog series. It's been so much fun to create these videos. A challenge definitely, recording and editing every day, but it's been so much fun. And on today's video I'm going to be discussing the top 5 places that I think you all need to visit if you ever come to Barcelona. So let's start with number 1, which is the beautiful Arc de Triomphe. So you may be thinking, Ellie, I'm pretty sure the Arc de Triomphe's in Paris, right? And I'll be like, yes, that's definitely correct. But there is also an Arc de Triomphe here in Barcelona. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a very, very popular spot for tourists, for families, you name it. Everyone loves to visit the Arc de Triomphe, especially on a Sunday. It's very, very popular amongst families to go for walks, to go for a run nearby. There's the Parc de la Ciutadella. The Arc de Triomphe is basically the start of the Parc de la Ciutadella. The park is one of the most famous in Barcelona. And like I mentioned, very popular with for families, people who are going for a run, people having picnics. It's a perfect place to go on a Sunday afternoon, and in my opinion one of the best places to visit in Barcelona. So place number 1 is the beautiful Arc de Triomphe. Now you can also, just an extra tip, just to let you all know, the Arc de Triomphe is on the L1 line, which is the red line here in Barcelona. So if you're heading there via the metro, that is how you can find it. Okay, place number 2 is the very famous Las Ramblas, which is Barcelona's most famous, well, arguably most famous street. Now, on the street of Las Ramblas, you can get ice cream, you can get souvenirs, you can buy all sorts. There's shops that go down the street, and yeah, it's a very popular place to go and visit. It's right near to Plaça de Catalunya. In fact, the closest metro stop is Plaça de Catalunya, so I'd recommend going via the metro to Plaça de Catalunya, which is also on the L1 line, to make your way to Las Ramblas. And yeah, it's always busy. It's full of people. It's a very big tourist hotspot. Just be careful of the pickpockets. It's a well-known place where you can get your things taken, so just make sure you've got your possessions close to you. Don't leave your bags on the floor whilst you're taking a photo and you turn around and it's gone. It's a place to be a bit extra careful. But yeah, place number 2 is the famous Las Ramblas. I know it's a tourist hotspot, but I would say it's somewhere you should visit if you're in Barcelona, just to see it for yourself. Okay, place number 3, or area number 3, is the Gothic Quarter here in Barcelona, and more specifically Barcelona Cathedral. So in my opinion, the Barcelona Cathedral is one of the most beautiful cathedrals that I've ever seen in the world. I've travelled to over 30 countries, and in my opinion the cathedral here is one of the most beautiful and picturesque. So for all those Instagram lovers out there like myself who like a good Instagram photo, it's a very good place to get the perfect picture. So the cathedral itself is in the Gothic Quarter, which is really, really popular amongst tourists. There are also many people that live in the Gothic Quarter as well. It's a very popular residential area here in the city. There's a lot to see and do. There's some really nice cafes and restaurants, some tapas places, some places you can get pinchos, which is, I think I've spoken about pinchos before. It's like a piece of baguette with something on top, either fish, meat, vegetables, with a stick through the middle. So that's why it's called pinchos. So you can get lots of pinchos and tapas in the Gothic Quarter. So if you're looking for a slightly unique neighbourhood of Barcelona and also somewhere to get some really cool food, then the Gothic Quarter is for you. Okay, number 4 is, well, 2 places, Casabatlow and Casa Mila. So as I'm sure many of you are aware, Gaudi had a big impact on the architecture here in Barcelona. Gaudi is, yeah, he's so well respected here. He's famous. He's got basically buildings and landmarks all around the city that he was responsible for building. He was the architect who has shaped the city to look as it does today, which honestly the city is so beautiful. The architecture is incredibly unique. So for anyone who really enjoys architecture, I definitely recommend coming to Barcelona. But 2 of his most famous houses are Casabatlow and Casa Mila. You can find both of those houses on Passage Passage de Gracia. Now Passage de Gracia is basically the Oxford Street of Barcelona. You've got Gucci, you've got Prada, you've got all the really expensive luxury brands all down Passage de Gracia, but you can also find Casabatlow and Casa Mila. Now they both cost around 30 euros to go into, but I'd highly recommend, a top tip is to book your ticket before getting there, as it's actually cheaper to book online than in person. And they also do student discounts, so if you're a student, make sure you bring your student card and you can save some money. I've been into both of them. I would probably recommend both of them, but if you're on a budget and you're trying to pick one or the other, I'd probably more so recommend Casabatlow, as it's got a really awesome 10D experience at the end of your visit in the house. You go all the way up and look at all the different rooms, and then just before you leave there's a really cool 10D experience that I did when I went to Casabatlow with my friend Crystal when she visited me in Barcelona last summer. So yeah, they're both really cool, they're both very unique. If you've got the budget to visit both of them, I'd highly recommend doing that, but if you've got the budget only to visit one, I'd probably say Casabatlow. Okay, now the fifth and final place where I would recommend you all to visit if you come to Barcelona is of course the famous La Sagrada Familia, which is my favourite landmark and building and just area of Barcelona. The neighbourhood is beautiful. It's a very residential area, but you've also got some tourists as well, so it kind of like has a mix of the two. The building itself is actually is unfinished. It hasn't actually been finished yet. They've been building it for decades and decades, and it's yet to be finished. I think within the next 10 years I think it's due to be finished, so I'd love to come back in the future when it's completely finished and see what it finally looks like in its completion. But again, it costs around 30 euros to actually go inside La Sagrada Familia. I know it seems like quite a lot of money, and obviously you've got all these different things you can be doing in the city, but I would highly recommend for you all to visit and go inside La Sagrada Familia. Again, book online rather than in person, it's cheaper, and of course look if you can get a student discount as well. I'm pretty sure you can for La Sagrada Familia, but it's absolutely breathtaking inside. There's some videos on my social media from when I visited last summer, or if you've got any questions about La Sagrada Familia, pop them in the comments down below. I've been a couple of times, well, more than a couple of times around the area now, and I walk around it every time, and I'm just in awe of its just uniqueness and just how tall it is. I think it's the tallest building or structure here in the city, but yeah, every time I go to the neighbourhood of Sagrada Familia, I always walk out the metro station and look up and just think, oh my goodness, this building is just incredible. It's incredibly popular amongst tourists, so if you're here in the summer, I would highly recommend to book in advance to make sure you can get a ticket. But yeah, it's such a cool place, and I'm sure many of you have heard of La Sagrada Familia. It's like the postcard image of Barcelona. So they are my 5 places that I would recommend for you all to visit if you ever come to Barcelona. If you've got any questions about any of the places that I've mentioned, pop them in the comments box down below, and I'd be more than happy to answer your questions about not just those 5 places, but life in Barcelona in general. Or you can head over to my Instagram, which is at @OneGlow360. Send me a DM, let's have a conversation about Barcelona. Like I said, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. But just a massive thank you for watching today's video. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment down below, and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.